Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chakras and Cusswords. I am your host, Katherine, and today we are going to get into Taurus season. So welcome to Taurus season, and I will be doing the 12 Zodiac Horoscope Reading for all the Zodiacs. As always, I just want to do a little quick introduction about the Taurus and what the Taurus stands for, what the Taurus resembles, and how we can tap into this Taurus energy, how we can really get fundamentally into it as we approach this amazing time. So the Taurus is that energy of the bull. It is known as the bull, that strong, dominant, very grounded animal, right? It is an earthling animal. It's not necessarily centered in that stardust energy. It's more centered in that beautiful earth element. And the Taurus is a earth element too. It is a earth sign. It is also a yin zodiac, which means that it is a little bit known as a feminine energy. The Taurus is also a fixed sign, and the Taurus when we look at the analyzation of the key word of the Taurus, it's all about like possession and poses. Like it poses that energy of almost creating a area of success. When I think of Tauruses, I often think that most Taurus energies are successful. They have that energy where they feel very successful in their own right. They feel successful in a lot of the energy that they kind of put out to the universe. And I also think that when we look at the Taurus and we look at that zodiac, we have to really look at that area that is ruled by the zodiac of the Taurus. And it's Venus. And Venus is a feminine planet, and it's also a planet that's very much centered on balance, socialness, also things and situations that happen here on Earth. It's also seen as kind of like that planet where it brings that wealth and indulgence, right? Venus is known for that energy, and Venus is also known for that aspect of having that abundance flow. Like a lot of times when we think about the Taurus and also the Libra, because Venus rules both, when we think about that, we also have to think about what is it that makes that planet really kind of put that beautiful energy of like that vibration of the feminine becoming more centered with desires and indulgence and like wealth. And like I also like think of like looks when I think about like Venus ruled zodiacs. I think like Tauruses are usually, to me, very attractive. and also Libras, like there's some amazing, beautiful zodiacs. I mean, from all the zodiacs, of course, but like Kim Kardashian, say what you want about her, but she is very exotic and she is very attractive. And that's one of the things that kind of put her on the map. And same with a lot of the Taurus energy zodiacs. So let's get into like some of the celebrities of the Taurus. And I'm just going to name a few because I don't want to get too kind of, because there's a lot. So which I think is interesting when we look at these zodiacs. Okay, so when we're talking about looks, automatically Dwayne Johnson, George Clooney, David Beckham, woo, honey, right? Megan Fox, and also Megan Fox's husband, Machine Gun Kelly, which, I mean, if that's who you like, okay. Renee Zellweger, I think she's gorgeous. Gigi Hadid, and a lot of talent. Jessica Alba, Kelly Clarkson, Lizzo. We also have Barbara Streisand, so talented. Adele, Mark Zuckerberg, like he's, very smart. I wouldn't say he was attractive, but he's very smart. Billy Joel, very talented. But I want to get back on that Taurus energy that most of us really see, right? And that kind of makes me think of George Clooney. Like George Clooney was like the most famous bachelor for a long time, and everybody's like, is he ever going to settle down? And he seemed very like structured in his ways. And I think Tauruses are very structured in their ways. They have that strong foundation where they know what they want. Sometimes it may feel like a little passive, but also they tend to get a little frustrated. Like you'll see like a Taurus get frustrated. If you see somebody who's like always like, I feel frustrated, or why isn't this working for me? Or, it's just not moving in the direction I want. That's that root chakra element of almost like, sometimes they get almost like too comfortable and they get a little bit frustrated with it. And when those roots start to feel very tight and they start to feel like they can't move it forward, or for whatever reason, it's just kind of like not working for them, we see that frustration. You could kind of tell when a Taurus gets frustrated. Like most Tauruses, that bull energy, they're very, maybe a little bit quiet, or they're not really like somebody who you would say is super fiery like an Aries, right? Sometimes the Aries, we see a lot of that passion, or we look at a Leo and we see that passion, that fire. Or they're not as whimsical as maybe like a Gemini, who just is outward speaking and kind of throwing out a lot of energy to us. Or maybe they don't feel as emotional as a Scorpio, or somebody like a Cancer, where, maybe with a Taurus, we think that they're almost a little bit passive, a little subtle, a little bit quiet. But then when they get frustrated and they tend to get that energy that kind of like riles them up, and their roots don't feel as secure, that foundation feels not so structured, we kind of see it and we'll be like, ooh, where's that bull energy coming from? Where is that dynamic coming from? Where's that, I'm not listening. I'm not doing it. Where is it coming from? And then also we have to think of the second house. And the second house, when we think of just that energy alone, the second house is that house of wealth. So it's that Libra, almost like counterpart, right? Where the Libra is really centered off of like balancing and resources and partnerships. But that second house energy is more about the income, the wealth behind it, that energy of creation, of success, of tangible. It is that area where you're going to look at the work ethic. You're also going to see like, where, they tend to put it in their daily routines. Like when I think of a Taurus, I think a Taurus probably, yes, there's, Tauruses who are working for corporations, right? And they're, working the 9 to 5, and they're happy with that, they're moving up or they're happy with that. But then I also think there's a lot of Tauruses that probably really crave that independence, where they want to gain their own foundation and maybe have like their own job, their own business. I kind of see that a lot in Tauruses. They want to be connected with creating their own circumstances. Like they don't want anybody telling them what not. There's my husband on the podcast. And he's an Aquarius. Like what not to do, or like what to kind of, stay away from. So let's look at real quick before we get too into the horoscopes. So also the compatibility of the Taurus is, of course, with other earth elements. So remember, earth elements tend to vibe with earth elements. And it was funny because I was like thinking about this the other day. About like sun signs dating, and sun signs. I always hear like, this guy, he's the same sun sign as me. Is it going to work out? Yeah, it's going to work out. You guys might have the same dynamics in certain areas where, it's different and it might be a little bit of a challenging, but it's way more than just your sun sign. But they tend to gravitate towards each other when we look at the sun zodiacs. So the sun sign, we have a big dynamic of energy where it is almost like that magnet, like that chemistry kind of brings them forward. I mean, when I ask people like, what is your zodiacs? What's your zodiac? And then they tell me like their partner is usually the same element as them. It's pretty cool. And Tauruses, just like every other zodiac, tend to go for their same element. So we see that a lot. And we have the Taurus being very compatible with the Capricorn, with the Virgo. And this makes me think of my sister and her husband, because they're both earth elements, and he's a Taurus. He's actually a cusp baby. But he is a Taurus. He's not an Aries. I don't really necessarily believe there's that much of a cusp energy. You're either that zodiac or you're not. Like, you're not a hybrid. Sorry, guys. You're just not. You're either a Taurus or you're an Aries. It's very important to have your birth chart read so you know exactly what zodiac you are. His wife, my sister, is a Virgo. So we see that dynamic where these elements tend to gravitate towards each other. And then like you have air signs who tend to go towards other air signs, but definitely the Virgo, the Capricorn, and also, other Tauruses, like think of Megan Fox and her husband, Machine Gun Kelly. But then also they have that dynamic where they yearn for a different type of element, or also kind of like a opposition. And that would be like the Cancer energy is different than the Taurus energy, but they tend to get along. Also with Pisces, Taurus and Pisces are actually very compatible and they do well with each other. A lot of it has to do with one is very centered off of that 12th house placement, that dreamlike placement, that energy where the Taurus is able to bring that earthling energy, that earth element back down to the ground, back down to reality, and create like a foundation that works well for the group, works well for the partnership, right? Also, what do I expect in Taurus seasons? It's going to be kind of different. Taurus season, we're going to want to put a lot of energy towards the root chakra, of course. And we're also going to want to put a lot of energy towards expression and also that heart chakra energy. But the root chakra energy, we're going to want to look to see if we're feeling too stuck, if we're feeling like our foundation is just overcoming us, and we're going to want to create a creation where we start to move things around and not be so comfortable in that aspect. Okay, so let's get into the horoscope. So of course we will start with the Taurus. And for the Taurus, this is all about like your time. This is also that time where you're going to want to be able to express yourself. And you're also going to want to look a little bit further in the long path, like the identity path, like if that's creating a foundation of moving forward into getting like a different career, or really seeing what it is that is the long flow. Also for the Taurus, there's going to be a lot of transition, right? And I can't believe we're already in Taurus season. Like, I'm just like, what? Wow. How is this like just going by so fast? And really create that energy where you are okay with where you are right now in your current situation. For the Taurus, there is going to be a lot of movement. Of course, we're going to have Jupiter aligned with Taurus soon, and that area is going to create some abundance, and also it is going to create some energy where you're going to want to get very creative, get very passionate, and get that expansion forward, and you're going to create it into the ground. You're going to create that tangible aspect behind it. Really seeing where you are right now, where you want to be in the long run. Also, that is the approach of all alchemy, right? When we look at it, it is the approach of life and all alchemy. Also for the Aries, this is a beautiful time for you to look at your investments. Also look at where it is that you can put some more energy of wealth and also some more energy towards contribution. If you feel like you need to donate a little bit more, if you feel like you need to put a little bit more out there, go ahead and do that. Also, it is a perfect time to work on the savings for everybody, right? But really for the Aries right now, maybe pay off some bills, get a little bit more centered in that daily routine aspect of maybe cutting back, right? If that's just like packing a lunch, not going to Starbucks every day, like little things. And not saying that like anything is going to upshift that energy where you're on the right area of success. But, we are expecting lots of change, and we are expecting people to kind of move forward in creating areas of savings and also like areas of where they have money to buy other things or they have money to invest in other ways. So for the Aries, that is kind of what the Aries should be working on right now. For the Pisces, this is all about communication with also everybody in your collective. So that could be siblings, that could be partnerships, that can also be social groups. This is a time where maybe you felt like a little bit of adjust with the social center, and that's okay, but you're going to want to move that energy forward, and you are going to see how you can realign yourself. Sometimes when we have a adjustment with the social groups, it feels very challenging, and it feels like if there was a friendship breakup or a friend moved far away, there doesn't necessarily mean that the friendship is over. You just have to look at the communication and also look at areas that you can still have like that activity. This is also a good time for you to research and do some education. For the Aquarius, this is time that you're going to want to spend in the home. You're also going to want to get centered around a lot of the emotions and also start to heal some of the dynamics, especially if there are some mother and child wounds. You're going to want to clear that energy away. You're also going to work on those relationships for the Aquarius. Also for the Aquarius, this is a time for you to give a little bit more self-care. I feel like Aquariuses are good at that, but sometimes if you're doing too much, you might start to feel like burnout. So if you're an Aquarius and you've been like doing a lot and you might have to cut back and say like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do all these things. Maybe I should just do like one or two. That kind of makes me think like, okay. And also for the Capricorn, this is a beautiful time to get structured around that love energy and also getting around your creation and passions. So if you haven't been able to get like really creative in this year, this is the time that you're going to want to do it. Of course, for the Capricorn, it's all about being one with that earth element as well. So for the Capricorn, you're going to want to maybe do some hikes, get with friends, do some traveling, get centered around that energy. Also, you're going to want to maybe pick some hobbies or passions that are centered around that earth element. Also, you're going to want to look at areas that you could bring that into the relationship. So if you have like a relationship and maybe like you're thinking about like a date night or something, I would say like plan a hike or plan something like super different, but also bringing that like romance and creativity a little bit different and bringing it back into the relationship where that passion strikes back up. For the Sagittarius, it's time to get a little bit real with that area of health and wellness and also daily routines. So if you are a Sagittarius and you've been feeling like it's not really working out in your daily practices or your rituals or what it is that you want to do versus what it is that you need to do, you're going to want to actually do like a full cleanse, and then you're going to want to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And let me just do it now. And maybe start to just do like one or two things. Like don't try to do too much. So like if it is structured like around, maybe like introducing more water into your daily practices, go ahead and like fill up your water jug like the night before. Just do like little steps. It shouldn't be like, I have to drink all this water every day. It should be a little bit more centered around something that you can do, just a little step. You don't want to go full blast. Also for the Sagittarius, this is a good time to organize your life. Or at least organize your bedroom, but just kind of get a little bit more organization down and also see the strategy. I feel like sometimes Sagittariuses, they get very like, they get a little bit too spontaneous. And then when that spontaneous energy doesn't work, then they start to feel like a little hard on themselves. And they think that just because it didn't work right then and there, it's not supposed to work, which isn't really true. It is going to work. It's just you can't like put everything out there all at once and expect this huge change. It will actually be more consistent with a lot of little steps. And since Sagittariuses are a fire sign, they want to do like a big compunction. And sometimes that does not work right away. So do a little bit of each step. For the Scorpio, this is actually a good time to look at partnerships and relationships and unity. So if you are a Scorpio and you've been seeing that element of unity coming around and like contracts and moving forward with commitments, this is a good time to definitely look at that and also see if these are areas that you're going to want to continue to move forward and bring more energy towards, or are these going to be energies where you close that commitment. And I just did a little reel or a little TikTok on that Moroccan football player, Mr. Hakimi, and he's a Scorpio. So this is kind of interesting that they're actually going through a divorce right around as we transition to Taurus season. And he had like money in his mom's name. And his wife, who he's divorcing, just realized that all the money that I guess she was thinking she was going to get half or something is all in the mom's name. So talk about Scorpios and areas of contracts. So we're really seeing this energy kind of play out for the Scorpios. It's going to be quite interesting how that kind of unfolds. Like, is he going to have to give her any money? But then it's like in Morocco, so who knows what kind of rules they have. So for the Libras, this is actually a good time to look at area of assets and looking at solving mysteries. So if something hasn't been lining up quite right, you probably already know the answer. And you just have to look at it intuitively and also look at it at areas of, is this a long time merging or is this a short time merging? And look at that areas of secrets. If you can live within the secrets, then that's something that you will have to accept. But if it doesn't feel like you can, then you need to let this energy go and you need to move past. I do think that for the Libras, we're going to see a lot of reflection, especially as we have the South Node transition over to Libra, I believe in June. So there is going to be some aspects where it's going to make the Libra really reflect on the past, and a lot of that past energy of almost like 20 years ago is going to kind of come back up. So think about where you were back in like 2003 and what areas of reflection were you feeling? What areas of energy were you centered with? What areas of energy did you not fully heal? And that's really for all of us, but for the Libra, it's going to be a little bit more stronger. Also for the Virgo, this is a beautiful time to get centered around like education, also learning new courses, and also becoming one with the learning aspect of differences. Also for the Virgos, this is a lot of transition, especially when we move towards higher philosophies and higher aspects. Also for the Virgo, this is a perfect time to travel or to start something new. But for all the zodiacs, like, you know, as we are entering, especially here in the US, as we are entering, spring, and now we're going to shift over to summer. This is a beautiful time where many of us want to travel, right? So for the Virgo, just if for whatever reason the traveling doesn't work out, I'm kind of thinking of my sister because she's about to have a baby, right? So she ain't traveling nowhere. But if for whatever reason the traveling doesn't work out, you're going to quench that desire with higher philosophy and also with different education. So if you are not able to travel, that doesn't mean that you can't gain wisdom locally, and that doesn't mean that you can't gain new stuff like that could be like courses, that could be skills. She's going to get a whole bunch of new skills. She's about to be a mama. So, you know, stuff like that, but also having that energy where you are moving into a new philosophy. And I think sometimes when we start to learn like new philosophies, like when I started to learn astrology, how I felt like really kind of like a little bit, I would say it definitely felt challenging because I was like, whoa, it's so much to learn all at once. And really, it doesn't have to be all at once. It could be little by little, right? And I plan on starting to talk about like the planets a little bit more here and kind of getting into like the birth charts and stuff like that for more podcasts. I will be looking for podcast guests, but not as frequently as before. I do plan on bringing more astrology and more of the guided meditations onto this platform, onto this podcast. So hope you guys stick around. Okay, for the Leo, this is all about that energy of long-term goals. So not short-term goals, long-term goals, like legacy goals. Is this like having children? Ooh, like we're getting deep, right? For the Leo, this season, this Taurus season is about making that energy tangible, making that energy stable. So for the Leo, it's really like, do I want to have kids? Do I want to stay in this job? Am I okay with where I'm at right now? Or is this just fucking not where I want to be? Also for the Leo, this is also areas of expertise. So if you are like an expert in something, or you have like a specialty in something that you really want to enhance, go ahead and enhance that area. And also this is a time for you to look into the masculine energy, and Leos are a masculine zodiac. So you are going to want to really lead with that area of masculine. And I see like all these like people that are like, feminine energy, when men take women out of their masculine energy, they heal her. No, not necessarily, because a woman's energy and everybody's energy is what their energy is, regardless of their gender. So for the Leo, if you are a female and you are feeling like you want to tap into that area of expertise and specialty, you are going to want to do it through the masculine. Especially your masculine energy is going to actually feel very, very easier for you to tap into versus the feminine, especially if you have very dominant Leo placements. And it doesn't mean that men are going to be like, oh my goodness, I can't with this masculine female. Like her energy is just so alpha. It's so intimidating to me. Most men are very secure with that energy. And some men even prefer it. So it is definitely something that the Leo should tap into, and also reach out to the masculine energies that have inspired you, the masculine energies that have helped you create where you are now, and also create some more intentions. If you need to release some masculine wounds, definitely do that. When I think about like everything that happened in Aries season, with some of the masculine energy that's been roaming around, and we have to remember there's dark feminine energy and there's dark masculine energy. There's both energies have that shadow essence. It doesn't make one wrong and it doesn't make one right. I mean, dark energy, evil energy, especially when it's like evil, like, I was like totally appalled what happened with the Dalai Lama and, that whole incident in India. And what really made me sad about that is because that is an energy of, I felt like it was a huge energy of Saturn in Pisces. And I felt like it was like Saturn is saying, in our areas of spirituality and nourishment and our unconscious, we have to start to become more focused on what our boundaries are, especially in the spiritual community, especially in the energy of the unconscious becoming one with the conscious. And I don't know if like a lot of the adults were just like, I mean, I don't know. It made me uncomfortable to watch that video. So I couldn't imagine being in that room. But then I hear like people are like, just the whole thing happened in February and it's like they just kind of like shoved it under the rug. But then so many people talked about it. But when we think about it, that's the same energy from like Catholic priests molesting young boys or whatever, that's that same dark energy. And when we don't acknowledge it is when we have more problems when it comes towards spirituality, because a lot of people think that we have to always move towards an organization to becoming one with our spiritual essence. And in all honesty, our spirit is our spirit. It's our soul. We know what's right, what's wrong. We know where it is in this pathway. And when we start to have these leaders that abuse that power and abuse their energy and abuse that area where they know people who are seeking some type of validation, some type of gratitude, and some type of purposeness of feeling aligned in the area of transition of the next level of the higher dimensions, because that's usually when people start to go towards religion, is because of the whole heaven and hell aspect. Like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen when this energy leaves this body, right? And we don't need validation from a leader, any leader. I don't care if he's Buddhist. I don't care if he's Tibetan. I don't care if they're, Christian. I don't care if they're Catholic. I don't care of any of their titles of their religion, or if they don't have a religion, or if they like worship Satan. As long as they aren't using that energy to create harm towards other people, especially the most vulnerable, like children, it's like that is not what spirituality, religion, and praising. And that's the thing that I have a hard time with religion. I don't want to worship anybody. I don't want to worship anybody. Can I be inspired by some people? Yes. Do I think some people have some great tributes? Yes. I don't necessarily want to worship Jesus. I don't necessarily want to worship a priest. I don't necessarily want to praise somebody and say, "Oh, your holiness, come save me." I can do my own saving. I've been doing it for a long time. And so can everybody else, right? So can everybody else. We can clear our own energy and we can move forward. So I just went off on a full fucking tangent. I'm so sorry. Oh, I should be saying that word. I'm trying to remove that word from my vocabulary. It's been creeping back up. I apologize for going on a tangent, but I'm thankful that you guys stuck around and continued to listen to this amazing podcast. Let's get into the other horoscopes. So Cancer, kind of, okay, but one more thing before we go to Cancer. So what I wanted to say is if there are those masculine wounds, and most likely they're childhood wounds. It's a lot of that masculine energy, or it could be energy right now that felt dark, regardless if it was masculine or feminine, but especially with the Leo, time to clear it away. Time to sage. If you sage, I know white sage, we should really respect the indigenous culture of natives, and that is their sacred practice. So use rosemary, use some type of other essence. Please don't use white sage. I think have some just regular sage. You can make your own sage, but in all honesty, let the ancestors hold grace to their own practice and their direct descendants. I would say use rosemary, mint. There's a lot of stuff we can dry and burn and clear that area. I would say clear that energy of the old masculine dark wounds if you are a Leo. For the Cancer, this is a beautiful time for us to look at the socialness that comes with our friends and our alignment. Also, it is a good time to look at your collective circle. So if you are somebody who's centered on a community, you're going to want to give back to that community. You're going to want to share that love. You're going to want to share that grace of maybe moving something forward. I got to tell you guys something. Okay. So I feel like I'm very quiet at work. And I usually don't talk about my job, and I usually don't talk about too much like my work life, because I try to keep it very separate, right? But somehow, people, and a lot of it has to do with just me being there for almost 2 years. People get to know me, so they start to ask questions and stuff. So I'm actually having one of the doctors is putting together a wellness day, and I'm actually going to help with a guided meditation. And I don't know how they, I think because I mentioned to somebody that I had sound bowls. So now I'm leading a breath work guided meditation at the job. And I'm like, okay. And at first, I was like kind of weary about it, but I think I can totally disconnect because my work life, I'm trying to become, it's a very different aspect than when I was in the ER. When I was in the ER, I didn't have a charge nurse role. I didn't have that role of being one who delegated so much, right? It was more like, just a regular nurse. So this now is different. So I try to keep it different, and I care about all my coworkers, but I don't want to be like friends. I mean, there's a few that I would say I'm friends with, but I don't want to be like friends, like outside of work, just because it's weird when you're with somebody 5 days a week. I don't know. Is that normal? I don't know. I just feel like we probably shouldn't all be like super close friends, but we could definitely. So I'm holding a guided meditation. I think I'm just going to do breath work because I don't want to be like full like guide. That to me is just weird when you work with people. I don't know. So that is kind of like a center of your collective, even if it is a work collective. Sometimes we really care about our work life, and sometimes we really care about the people in our work life, right? And if you can give back to those social groups and create some awareness and also create some areas of moving forward in your collective, if that's business, if that's your home life, if that's your social life, is that your work life, you're going to want to put some energy towards that. Also for the Cancer, this is a beautiful time for you to look at technology. As we do have it in the 11th house for you. This is that Aquarian house. That is that Uranus house. That is that technical house. So if there was something in technology that you wanted to learn, go ahead and seek that knowledge. Also, don't be like scared of technology. I know some people are like, technology is and this could just be the Aquarius in me, that huge Aquarius stellium I have, a lot of people are like, technology is going to change the world. Yeah, it is going to change the world. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it depends on how you look at it, right? There's definitely going to be more boundaries that we have to look at, and there's definitely going to have to be more areas that we devote to. It's going to be a full transformation, especially as we have Aquarius with Pluto in Aquarius. That just happened. So I was just seeing this TikTok. Okay, so you guys can tell I spent a lot of time on social media. So I spent a lot of time, but I also do a lot of other things. But I just saw this TikTok where it was an AI generated TikTok where it was that Jay-Z and Kanye song, and it was the Paris song, N-word in Paris, and they used Biggie Smalls' voice and Tupac's, and I will tell you, I was impressed. I was like, no fucking way. This is cool. Like, that is so cool. Like, if I can make an AI Tupac guest on Chakras and Cussowrds who knows astrology, I totally would. Like, okay, I'm totally like geeking out right now. Let me just stop. Okay, so Gemini, this is a beautiful time for you to end some shit. I'm kind of curious what is going to happen with Donald Trump, right? For those who saw my spiel about Trump and a little bit of his birth chart, I don't know. Do I think he's going to serve jail time? No. Do I think he might get fined? Yes. I mean, there's definitely going to be something going on, right? Gemini, this is time for ending and healing a lot of closure wounds. And that makes me think that maybe they're going to wrap something up with him, right? Because this is happening in the 12th house for the Geminis. So like, it might be an area where you really reflect, you create some limits. I do think Donald, I don't know if he has that karmic energy where he's able to reflect and, maybe move forward and see his wrongs. I don't know if he has that in him, but for the Geminis, this is a time where karma is going to play a little bit to the game, as one might say, right? You're going to want to definitely reflect, clear the old karmic energy if you need to. If you're stuck in a karmic relationship and it's just getting where it's not really moving forward, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And also, we're going to let go of the limiting self-beliefs for the Gemini. You can come back from anything. You're a Gemini. You're an amazing communicator. You're an amazing person. The Geminis are very, 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 very dynamic. You can come from a lot of energy that you clear away where it is that you need to clear. And you're going to want to use that throat chakra energy. And you're also going to want to use that heart chakra energy. As long as you're aligned with it and feel that strength with it, you can move forward and you can create some great aspects really towards self, and also really towards the subconscious of understanding that all dreams are possible, right? Like all dreams can come true. And also right around that Taurus season, we have the new moon in Aries right before we transition over to Taurus. We have the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. So this is a beautiful time for all of us to reflect and all of us to say goodbye to a lot of limiting self-beliefs. When we look at our shadow state, a lot of times our shadow state is just formulated of limiting self-beliefs. And it's this amazing time where we just say, fuck that. I'm not that, I'm not that area that I put on myself. I can proceed. I can become beautifully centered in this energy alignment of life. So I want to thank everybody for listening and listening to Chakras and Cussowrds Podcast. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, right? And thank you so much. Bye.